Welcome to our live coverage of tonight's race of the OSRL Premier Series from the Bristol Motor Speedway. Tonight, we are going to combat for 150 laps around the last great Coliseum as we prepare for the Rowdy 150. Joining me tonight is Josh Packer, first time in the booth, almost hometown native. I am Noah Carmichael, and we are glad to bring you live flag-to-flag coverage here from OSRL. Tonight, of course, we race with heavy hearts. It marks a week ago today that we lost one of the sport's greatest icons, that being Kyle Busch, two-time Cup Series champion, and it's only fitting that after a week off, OSRL comes back to what was Kyle Busch's greatest racetrack. 23 wins combined across the top three national series, the most of anybody in the history of Bristol Motor Speedway. Josh, you were one of the people that got to come here and watch Kyle in his prime and got to see him race where he does his business best. How does the emotions feel tonight for these drivers as they approach tonight's race, knowing that they're stepping into some hollowed grounds of where Kyle Busch really made his mark in his career?
It'll hit him heavy. Like you said, this was Kyle's personal playground. I was fortunate enough to see him win here. He was the best here, especially in the modern era. No one could touch him here, especially from that 2010 to 2017 range where he did both the sweeps. So yeah, drivers tonight, they got a lot to live up to, but I think they might be up to the task and they'll put on a good show tonight.
Coming into the night, we just left off for an off week. Like I said, we come back after a race at Darlington where the championship battle tightened up. It is now a 3-point gap between the top two in the standings, that being the number 93 of Joshua Chin and the 42 of Braden Movick. And as the field starts to grid up, let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's starting grid for the Rowdy 150. Starting on pole, none other than points leader Joshua Chin. Alongside him in the outside, number 22, Ashley Klonix. Lined up back in third. Second in the points, fitting the number 42 of Braden Movick with William Schmidt, former series champion, in fourth. Marcus Smolden rounds out the top five. Morpheus Perry in sixth and the 31. Jack Painter as well, running a Kyle Busch tribute scheme tonight. The number 97 starts seventh. Jonathan Oates, former series owner, starts eighth. Nolan Sanford starts ninth, and then rounding out the top 10, driving the number 16 in honor of Greg Biffle, Justin Knutson.
On to row 6 and P11 is Brett Bennett, and starting alongside him is Chris Lilly. Dropping back to row 7, car 21 with Steven Gibson, and then car 33 alongside him with Isaac Johnson. Back to row 8, Harry Gradell and Kendall Carpenter. Back to P17, Austin Ripp, and then Owen Sabinski. I believe I got that right. Back to row 10 on the inside, Rex Jenkins, and then in the 01 and P20, Trey Patton.
Starting back in 21st is the number 1 of Trent Curtis, along with the number 2 of Shane Sweeney. Jade Gray in the number 19 lines up 23rd with Diego Roldan, your winner back from Atlanta back at race 2. He lines up 24th. Back in 25th, you're going to find a 7 of Levi Wold, and Jonathan Schletsky in the number 18 rounds out tonight's 26-car grid. So as we take the starting grid away, we will now look down closer to trackside. As you can see, the cars are now fully gridded as they get ready for tonight's pace laps. You can see right there on the front row, that's Joshua Chin in the number 93, lined up in row number 1. One of the many drivers tonight. As I wait for the running order, there we go. One of the many drivers running a tribute scheme tonight. This one throwing it back to Kyle Busch's days, driving for Hendrick Motorsports, 2007 to be precise, when he won here, I want to say for the first time in the Cup Series, won the Food City 500, the first ever COT race, and one of his more iconic moments here at the racetrack. When he won the race, he gets out of the car, and the first thing he does is throw the brand new COT car under the bus, talking about how much he hates driving the thing on national TV. As we still wait for the grid to fully field up. You can see some of the other drivers as well. Mo Perry in the number 31. We have another Kyle Busch tribute scheme. I want to say that is Marcus Smolden. Throwing it back to Kyle Busch's Busch days when he drove for Hendrick Motorsports in the number 87, the Ditech car. Some other nobles as well. You're going to notice some drivers maybe not in their usual numbers. That is because of the fact that with the short time that it took to get ready for the tribute schemes, they're waiving the number and the contingency requirements. That is why you see Chris Lilly driving another Hendrick Motorsports Busch Series scheme, this time when he drove the number 5 Lowe's car, one of Kyle Busch's, I want to say, one of his more iconic schemes. I mentioned Jonathan Oates driving a tribute scheme. It is to the car that Kyle Busch drove when he swept here the second time in 2017, the M&M's Caramel car. Jonathan mentioned it in the Discord when he announced that he was running this car, that he was an Eric Jones fan, so he wasn't too happy at the time when Kyle Busch stole the win away from him. But now looking back on it, he is racing here tonight and is one of the same cars where Kyle Busch made history. As now you can see, there is Braden Movick fully gridded up. As now I believe we have all 26 cars lined up, and we'll wait for the pace truck to go ahead and roll off. One of the other drivers as well, number 22 of Ashley Kolonix, one of the top drivers in this series, especially when it comes to the ARCA OSRL series that they have. One of the top drivers over there. She has been oh so fast multiple times throughout the past. As now the field has officially pulled away, and we will start the pace laps here tonight for the Rowdy 150. The field now going to get gridded up. You're going to notice we're going to have a bit of an extended pace lap. The drivers, of course, going to go single file, and then they will make their way down pit road to not only find their pit stalls, but also get themselves acquainted with this pit road style. We're going to be doing single pit lanes tonight opposed to the double. So the field, as you're going to see here in a second, will more than likely single file up, as they're actually going to line it up in the missing man formation tonight. Like I said, it is OSRL's first time back since the loss of Kyle Busch. So they're going to do what they feel is right in paying tribute to one of the sport's greatest icons. So Joshua Chin, your pole sitter, fittingly in that Kyle Busch tribute scheme, wins the pole tonight, and he will fall back a row as Ashley Kolonix takes charge at the head of the field.
Great little tribute we got going on here.
And now the field will double up, with Joshua Chin leading the charge. Ashley Kolonix again up in second. Braden Movick in third. William Schmidt in fourth. And Marcus Smolden rounding out the top 5. As you can see, the lights on the pace truck are turned off, which means one thing and one thing only. It is time to go racing. The pace car heading in to turn number 4, where I thought it was going to make the move. Sorry. It threw me off a little bit. See, it was my idea to do the missing man formation, but I thought they were going to do it after the fact. So the field now is still doubled up as we await the start of the green flag. And while that happens, I'm going to take a quick second to adjust a little bit of the settings to combat the dropping frames that we're seeing. As now the pace truck going to make the dive down on the pit road. Joshua Chin leading us to the green as we are racing here in Bristol.
Top seemed to fire off pretty well there for the car 22. I believe that is Colonix, correct?
Yep, that is Ashley Kolonix, who's going to bring it out of turn number 4. And she will lead the first lap here tonight from Thunder Valley. As you can see, 150 laps on the board as they are side by side for the race lead. Kolonix with what right now seems to be the preferred lane here in the early goings of this race. But as this goes on, that's not where you're going to want to be as these tires start to wear out. We saw it throughout practice. That bottom lane really seemed to be the overpowering lane, which is how Bristol used to be. But as it's changed, how it's been reconstructed over the past decade or so, that top lane has started to form in. And right now, these two are still running side by side in the first 4 laps.
One well of battle, too, through 4 laps. I'm really shocked the top took off as well as it did there on the start. I'm going off what we saw in practice. I'm surprised it wasn't a bottom feeder off the start, but looks like she's got it cleared, and she is clear for the lead as we start lap 5.
Take the way off of turn number 2. You can see there's Braden Movick. That is the fight for what will be the overall points championship. 3 points separate these two. The 93, Joshua Chen, your current points leader. Braden Movick in the 42. Back in the 3rd position, he is runner-up as they are both stalking the number 22 here in the early goings.
Yeah, it looks like we've all strung out single file here for now. So it looks like we're back to the bot, where we finally got to the bottom feeding part of the night.
And as they make their way off of turn number 2, as we continue to pay tributes to Kyle Busch, we'll start it with lap 8 to lap 18. We will go silent and crank it up in honor of Rowdy. And like I should have expected, we have our first caution tonight. Multiple cars involved. You saw it. The 31 of Mo Perry got into the wall. Threw up in turns 1 and 2. And I'm going to take a wild guess here that that's going to have something to do with what brought this caution out. So we're going to go ahead and get the replay transition up. And we're going to go take a look back and see what we might find here as the cause of this first yellow. So as we come back up.
Rough little time there.
So we're going to start here. Mo Perry already up against the wall. Something tells me the steering might have broke there. There is a 21 of Steven Gibson. It looks like...
Might have one around behind him.
Yeah, it looks like the wreck's going to start well further back. And indeed it does. So it looks like that is the number 1 of Trent Curtis up ahead. Oh, that's going to start with the 70 of Harry Grandel. That started way up further in the field than what I would have expected. So it's actually going to start with the 21 of Steven Gibson up here, who is running with the 06. That is Brett Bennett. Brett Bennett's just going to lose it heading into turn number 3.
Very odd situation right there. Fault the 21 was at fault there, but he was in the wrong place, wrong time.
And you can see there's Harry Grindell going to get piled up in it, as well as the 65. That is Austin J. Rip gets a piece of it, but not nearly as bad. And the rest of the field just starts to pile in. As you can see, there is John Schletsky in an 18 car. That is the 25 of Rex Jenkins as well. 75 of that is Levi Wolf. Does a great job avoiding this. Let's go back and see what happens here with the 18. So he's going to make his way into turn number 3. He's going to see the wreck happening up in front of him. He's going to go up to try and avoid it right into the path that Rex Jenkins had nowhere to go. And that's how this part of the wreck starts as well.
And that's just Bristol. Sometimes you get caught up in someone else's mess, even if they're way ahead of you or way behind you, and just nowhere to go there.
So the field now doubled up once again. Is going to be one of those quickie cautions. As Bristol being a short racetrack, we don't have to worry too much about any lengthy cleanups. Ashley Kalanick still your race leader. She has chosen the outside lane here.
Yeah, let's see if it fires off on this restart for her as well as it did on the original start.
So the field now making their way back through turns 3 and 4. The lights on top of the pace truck are off. And he will make the hard turn down pit road as he enter the restart zone. Let's see if Kalanick can get the drive off that she had the first time. And indeed she will. She's going to jump out to a pretty clear lead. A pretty healthy margin too as she sets off into turn number 1.
Yep, she absolutely had a great launch, and looks like we're going to have a possible battle for the lead here going down in turn 3, but we stay single file at the point.
That is the 79 of William Schmidt, who started back in the 4th position. He is now starting to circle the bottom side of the racetrack. He's going to get a nose underneath the 22 car, and here comes the battle for the lead. Here comes Josh Chin, going to sneak up on the outside. There's a 3-way fight for the top spot, but right now, Ashley Kalanick still large and in charge up at the front of the field, as Josh Chin now going to circle the top side, maybe try and steal back the 2nd position, but instead Schmidt is going to hold it onto the rear quarter panel of that 22 car.
Yeah, Kalanick so far through the early going, she's loving that middle, the top lane. But so far, I mean, throw the top 3 under a blanket, and you've got Muppet back there in P4 just hoping for one of them to slip up or just make a big mistake, and he pounces on it.
So now Kalanick's going to try and work the high side the same way that she did at the start of the race. She'll now jump back down to the bottom as the fight for second starts, as Joshua Chin going to circle the top and take back the runner-up position. And now he's going to try and work the top side through 3 and 4 as he tries to find any way to get back around that 22 car, and he slaps the wall off of turn number 4.
Yeah, we said in practice that the track was a bottom feeding racetrack. So far through 20 laps down, it looks like that middle groove is what's paying off for these drivers, especially up here in the front.
You can start to see Ashley Kalanick's maybe a bit of a different line. This is something that we see more drivers do nowadays, and that's diamond the racetrack as, oh, there's contact between the 93 and the 79. They both hang on to it, and we stay green.
Yeah, and Ashley's loving this, battling behind her, and she's just able to pull away and just lengthen that lead out. Still early, long way to go, but take any advantage you can get here at the half mile of Bristol.
And William Schmidt continues to fall back in the running order as maybe he used up his tires there in the early beginnings of the race. He is now fighting with Jonathan Oates in the 73 car. That is for the 4th position. He'll now fall back to 5th, where Marcus Smalden in the 83 car, that is being shown as the 87 car on track, is now trying to peep himself up into the top 5.
Yeah, I believe Schmidt, he used up his tires, especially overheated them, especially on that short run at the beginning, and paying the price for it now. So hopefully he can stop the bleeding here, but we get a long green flag run here, that's going to be the last thing you want is burn him up early.
And up at the front still is Joshua Chin in the 2nd position. Ashley Kalanick now has opened up a half-second margin over Joshua Chin as we are now complete lap number 25, as the field now starts to spread itself a little bit thinner as the laps continue to rage on. As you can see, Chin may be starting to try a bit of a diamond himself. He enters a bit higher through turn number 3, but then tries to get a better drive off of turn number 4 as he cuts down to the bottom. Not so much to the very bottom of the racetrack, but maybe right where the beginning of that first lane begins.
Yeah, he's making a little bit of headway into that lead. He's pulled away from Mother because it looks like he's in a battle for P3 back there. I think he slapped the wall a little bit off turn 4 on that last time by. Looks like he's cleared stay holding position in P3. But yeah, Chin, he's definitely cutting into the lead here. I'd say he's cut it in about half in the last 2 or 3 laps.
Now take a look at the drone cam as they make their way off of turn number 4. You can see Ashley Klonix up ahead. That is about under a half a second at the moment. It is about 4/10 as they make their way off of turn number 2 down in the back straightaway. The number 22 car of Ashley Klonix still holding strong onto the race lead, has led just about every single lap since the get-go here tonight. As we now approach lap number 30, as we are still putting these laps down as one caution early, and already we're starting to get into our first somewhat long green flag run of the afternoon.
Yeah, they're picking up and putting down laps now. It looks like our leaders also worked her way up to the very, I'd say, borderline top side of the racetrack, and she's starting to pull away again from P2. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see how long this green flag run goes. We can keep them clean, and probably won't be long. We'll have some lap traffic as well for these leaders.
As they make their way down the back straightaway, she still continues to open up a bit of a margin. The gap now 0.6 of a second, approaching 7, as Braden Movick now slowly but surely starting to chip away at the gap to second as he starts to find that mid-race rhythm that he needed. As
he's been sticking to that bottom just about the whole race. This is about the first time we've seen him venture up off the bottom, but he is cutting up closer to P2 and closer to the championship lead.
And I want to see this because I think it looks like he's almost driving it in deeper than some of the other drivers, because when we went back to look at him, you can see the gap really start to shrink down. But then as obviously they roll to the middle of the turn, Chin starts to open the lead back up just a little bit. But he is really getting aggressive on corner entry, and that might be the bit of the advantage that he needs to try and close this gap down to the leaders.
Yeah, he's sending in there pretty deep, but you don't want to do that for too long. Overheat that right front tire, because after a while you do that too long, you're going to be suffering, especially here.
So the top 5 as it stands right now, Ashley Klonix at number 22 has led the opening majority of the race. Joshua Chin in second. Braden Movick back in the 3rd spot. Jonathan Oates in the number 73 back in 4th. William Schmidt in 5th has fallen since the restart, where he was up in 2nd fighting for the race lead. Now back to 5th. As the field, like we said, has started to single file itself out just a little bit, as there is a fight going on between Isaac Johnson and Steven Gibson that is for the 9th position, with Jack Painter 97 making a 3-car fight within the top 10.
Gibson clears off 4, got the good drive off the top, and he's looking down for what, P8 now?
That is for the number 9 position.
So he's going down for P7. Sorry about that. It looks like he's starting to pull away just a little bit for P7.
See Jack now.
Turn 2.
Yes, this is the battle for the 10th position on the racetrack. You can see Jack Painter, number 97, going to try and diamond off the corner just a little bit. Can't get the run he needs. Isaac Johnson has a bit more clean running room that he needs. That's going to allow him to get a bit better throttle on corner exit to try and open up the gap a little bit to protect that 10th spot. As up at the front, you can see Ashley Klonix continues to lead the way. The gap now 0.8 of a second, the largest lead of the night, as she's quickly approaching a 1-second gap, as now she is starting to catch up to the lap traffic like Josh talked about earlier. As you see, that is the 18 of Jonathan Shaletzky, as well as Austin J. Ripp, who are now battling for the 22nd position, but are soon going to have to look in their mirror as the race leader is really starting to hunt them down.
Yeah, and hopefully they're pretty vigilant in noticing the leaders there, because those cars are pretty wounded, so hopefully they stay on their toes and they give one another plenty of room. No unnecessary cautions or anything that could really ruin someone's night here, as they're going side by side in front of the leader here. And she's staying on the top, round on the high side of one of the lap cars. Try to split it up 3 wide, thinks better of it. And
Austin J. Ripp realizes where he's at, was probably not wanting to go side by side, so he pulls all the way down to the bottom to give her the room that she needs. But look back here, and there is a 3-car fight going on for the 2nd position, and a spread just a little bit, but Braden Movick has now officially taken the runner-up spot, as now he works his way to the lap traffic.
Yeah, Braden, he's on a roll right now. That lap traffic really slowed the leader down a little bit. It's going to slow him up just a tick, but not as much as it did Ashley there for those couple laps she was trying to get around him.
You can see some cars now starting to make their way down pit road. That is the 2 of Shane Sweeney that you see making his first stop of the night. I want to say this is an unscheduled pit stop because of the fact that the fuel length is about 130 laps. So he doesn't really need to pit for a while. So I'm going to guess he was caught up in that opening caution that we had back around lap 9. But now, as we continue on through the opening 50 laps of the race, the gap now starting to shrink drastically. Before lap traffic, it was at about 0.8 of a second. Now, it is about half a second, approaching 0.4 of a second, as Braden Movick is really starting to put down some heater laps.
Yeah, we said he was sending it in. I was fearing he'd burn the right front off that car, but it looks like he might have just actually been saving a little better than the leader, because he is running her down right now as we approach lap 50. So almost a third of the way down, and looks like it won't be long. We might have a battle for the lead.
We're going to go on board once again with Braden Movick to see exactly what he might be doing. You see Colonix circling the bottom like she has been most of the race. He's going to tap the wall a little bit. And again, he's just able to really drive it in a lot deeper on corner entry. And that's one of the things about Braden Movick that makes him so lethal. He has 3 wins on the season so far. But it's that consistency factor that really puts Joshua Chin up ahead of him and allows him to hold on to that points lead. But Movick is just able to find the little bits of speed that he needs out of this car. And that's really what separates him from a lot of the drivers in this field and makes him one of the top competitors in this series. As again, you can literally see lap by lap by lap just how much bigger that 22 car is getting, as he is really starting to hunt down the lead. Probably one of the bigger threats to the lead that we've seen all race so far.
And not only is he's really attacking it hard on corner entry, he's getting really dependent on the bottom and getting it roll through the center pretty well. It looks like it's a little bit better than the leader, as they're really starting to approach that lap traffic here as they pass the 01 car here.
It is the 01 of Trey Patton and the Rexford Engineering Machine. He will now officially go a lap down. You can see the 25 of Rex Jenkins going back down pit road. Joshua Chin has lost the 3rd position. He is now back to 4th, about to lose 4th and go back to 5th. So something's happened to that 93 car, because you can see here comes the 79 car, going to drive it down on the inside and handily. And that's a really weird thing to see Joshua Chin lose spots like that. He's one of the top competitors in the series, probably the best driver in the series so far this season. And to see him fall is a bit uncharacteristic, as up at the front, the fight for the lead is now officially on, as Movick is now right on the back door of that 22 Chevrolet.
Yeah, officially over a third of the way down the run, and Movick's loving this. Battling for the lead, Chin's falling back, as we're still earning this pretty decent long, or green flag run to this point. See, we another car heading down pit road. I believe they were in the crash on lap 9. And looks like we really got this battle for the lead going, as Movick thinks better of it and backs out coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, he's going to want to be patient here. We still have a little under 100 laps to go, so you don't want to get too aggressive and put yourself in a bind of where you're going to cost yourself later on. But right now, he is just really it's really not a matter of if but when, because look at how much deeper he's able to drive it into the turn than what Ashley is, and that's really going to be the big advantage that he's going to need to allow him an opportunity to take this win and take this lead and run away to a possible another win. 4th on the season it would be for him. Just incredible driving so far in the early portion of this race.
Yeah, I believe he may be waiting for the lap traffic here, because they are within a matter of laps of getting really heavy in the lap traffic. So I think he's just buying his time and playing mind games right now to get lead. But we do have a Jonathan Oates. He's getting into the party, so looks like we might have a 3-car battle for the lead here on our hands as we approach halfway.
And they make their way off of turn number 4. They're going to complete lap number 60 as they make their way through 1 and 2. That is the number 1 of Trent Curtis, going to get up and out of the way, but right in the path of the 73 car of Jonathan Oates. As now the 3-car fight for the race lead. There's the 06 of Brett Bennett up ahead. Here comes Movick now. Going to peek it down to the inside. Can he peek the nose in? Not just yet. He's almost there, just not quite.
Yeah, he got a really good run off turn 4 that last time by. He dimed it and was able to hammer down a little bit quicker. But looks like Oates might have the run that Movick had the last lap right here. They both go to the top, so it looks like I wouldn't be surprised they don't get this run again. Looks like he might have got a little bit too high there.
Is going to get into the wall and surrender the 2nd position to Jonathan Oates. Jonathan Oates now up into the 2nd position, as he's going to start knocking on the door to 22, and as well is able to get a lot better drive on corner entry, and that's going to give him an opportunity to maybe poke for a shot at the race lead as they make their way through turns number 3 and 4. Going to try that diamond corner exit that we've seen Braden Movick and both Joshua Chin do in the past. But still, Ashley Connick's doing exactly what she needs to do. You don't have to be the fastest car on the racetrack, but if you could take away that bottom line, that's really going to set yourself up nicely because it really prevents Oates from being able to do anything to try and challenge for the race lead.
Yeah, getting there's one thing, but passing that leader, that's a totally different book. But you've seen Mubbock and Oates both do the diamond off 2 and 4, and they made up ground. They just haven't get it around her just yet as they lap the 31 of Mo Perry.
Yeah, Ashley Kolonix did get loose exiting turn number 4. They're nose to tail for the top 3 spots as Mo Perry is not surrendering the position. He is holding it on tightly, and that's going to upset Braden Mubbock. As you can see, the gap now starting to grow a little bit, so the frustration is going to start to set in for a lot of these drivers. Obviously, for Mo Perry, wants to try and get a good finish out of tonight, is not having a start of the race that he wants. So right now, he's just not in a spot where he needs to be. And it's going to really start upsetting these leaders, especially with how many laps we're putting down right now.
Well, not to mention, too, if you look a little bit further back from the top 3, P4 and P5, they're drawing a little bit closer as well. So it's not going to be long. We might have 5 cars under the blanket, and all of them being the top 5. But, yeah, Mo Perry not having a great night here after the wall contact, and now being, unfortunately, a lap down as we approach halfway.
You can see him, again, get into the wall, exiting turn number 4. And that was dropped him back just a little bit further as there's the 18 car once again going to pull down to the bottom side. But sadly, it was right in the path where the leaders were about to pass, so that almost turned ugly real fast. Austin J. Rip as well going to clear around the 18 car as he's also holding on to position right now as he's actually going to go on the top side of the 73 car and try and get one of his laps back. And he is right in the middle of the fight for the race lead. So again, I know you're on fresher tires and you want to try and get one of your laps back, but as of right now, that would put... I don't even think that's going to put him back a little lap because it looks like Shane Sweeney is actually 10 laps down. Yeah, he's actually... Austin Ribb is actually 12 laps down at the moment. You can see he is actually slow as we are actually under yellow. Looks like it might be... We're going to go ahead and take a look, and it is going to be the 31 car Mo Perry. So the night for him goes from bad to worse. See, there's the 18 car Schlewetsky. Gonna drive it into the corner. And
Right.
yep,
The apron.
right into the door. And that's gonna send him around and bring out our second caution of the night.
Yeah, I feel bad for Perry there because he wouldn't have known what would have hit him because he was basically clear at that point and just gets wiped out. Oh, and a close call. Couple close calls there. All right.
Yeah, I would assume you're going to see a lot of cars come down pit road, especially a lot of the leaders in the early portions of this race. Because as it stands right... Because
I'm not sure. Came down.
Marcus Smalden, one of the drivers, going to stay out. You can see a majority of the leaders have made their way down pit road.
Yeah, staying out here is not something personally I would have done. So it's a bold strategy. We'll see how it plays out for him. So as we actually are officially now halfway.
So all the cars ahead of Ashley right now are in fact 1 lap down. So Ashley's only going to fall to second.
Oh,
and
Smalden just pitted there.
Yep, Smalden realizes it's not a good idea. Brings it down pit road. He's going to fall to the back of the lead lap car. So that will render him down into the 18th position. As they make their way through 3 and 4. I understand. I've been keeping an eye on the stream. I understand that the latency isn't where it needs to be. I am trying to find a workaround for that, so I apologize to anybody watching right now. I thought this would be a track that would want to work nicely with me, and apparently it is not. I think it might be more of an internet connection.
So it looks like you've got time pace car. Still have lights on, so.
Yeah, we're going to try and see if we can't fix this. I apologize to the people watching here. Yeah, I think this is just more of an internet connection, if anything.
We got a couple new players at the front here too.
Yes, I think this is going to be more of an internet connection than anything, so I apologize for that. Not in a best area for this. So we're going to just go ahead and try and drag this one out. And hopefully it improves, but as now the field once again going to make their way through turn number 4. The pace car dives down in the pit road into the hands of Ashley Klonix, who again gets to jump on the restart that she needs and is easily going to clear the field heading into turn number 1, as it looks like they're about to go 3 wide, as that is the number 29 of Diego Roldan, who tries to roll the top around Justin Knudsen and Kendall Carpenter, who gets loose as we are back under yellow.
Caution's out. Yeah, third time, still lucky on that top. The top's definitely the one kicking off pretty well for Kolonix there on the restarts and the original start.
And this is going to involve one of the front runners, in fact. So the bad luck that has plagued Braden Movick in the past. You can see there's Shane Sweeney gets a late restart. Smolden gets into him, and on new tires, yeah, he's on new tires. Those tires aren't going to work the way they want because of how cold they are, and he just loses it.
Oh, looks like Joshua Chen made some contact too. So potential championship implications here for the top 2 in the points.
And you can see already Braden Movick going to make his way down pit road. It looks like he might have got the worst of it. We're going to try and see if we can't find Shin here. He's also making his way down pit road, probably to check the damage. But it looks like it might be minimal on his end. He might be okay.
Yeah, he might be okay. He should. I think he does have a little bit on the right front there, but Movick's definitely got it on the right front and the left front because he was basically got hit from all corners. You see the bumper flapping up and down pit road now.
So the fight for the overall lead in the championship, and they're both on pit road with less than 100 laps to go. And this is going to open the door for quite a few drivers to possibly put themselves in a better position for the championship.
And there's still a long way to go, so these two, they might have more problems tonight and might even shake the points up even more.
And as the pace car lights are off on top of the pace truck, Kolonix once again, your race leader. Jonathan Oates in second. Back there in the third spot, that is the number 2 of Kendall Carpenter. One of the other drivers you don't want to count out when it comes to these races. He is someone who's won multiple races and has fought for championships in this series. Justin Knudsen in that 16 car. Back in the 4th spot, and Diego Roldan, your winner back from Atlanta, back at race 2, rolls off 5th. As the pace truck gonna dive it back down into pit road. Let's see if it happens yet again. Green flag back in the air, and once more, Kolonix gets to jump on the restart that she needs. Jonathan Oates gonna file back in second as the fight for third rages on between Knudsen and Carpenter.
Yeah, it looks like if Ashley gives up the lead on the final restart, whoever takes the lead definitely knows what line to restart in or not let her have, especially if they're on the front rows. It looks like they might have a little bit of contact there for the battle for P3.
No, I think that's just cold tires getting the better of these drivers. That's something that I heard a lot of drivers during practice complain about, is on these cold tires, it's really hard to get the power down the way you need it to. And right now, it is just biting a lot of competitors here. But as the race goes on,
Side by side for the lead.
Yeah, as the race goes on, you're going to see more grip going to those tires. As now here comes Jonathan Oates for the first time tonight. Going to try and challenge for the race lead. Kalanick's able to get the drive out that she needs and continues to hold on strong to the front of the field. But now Oates, with fresh tires on even playing field, going to try and drive it back down underneath. But Kalanick's just able to just drive off the corner exactly what she needs to do. And that allows her to hold on to the top spot. But don't look now, because Oates is not giving it up.
And you're kind of putting yourself in a predicament here because you want to lead the race, but at the same time, you don't want to burn your stuff up early because we could potentially have a pretty large contact there for the lead as well. But you potentially could have a pretty long green flag run heading towards the end, so you just need to be a little bit weary of how much you want to stress those tires out, especially in the early going here on this run.
Now they're going to go side by side. That is 16 car of Justin Knutson, who's going to clear the 73 of Jonathan Oates and take over the runner-up position. Kendall Carpenter has fallen back to fourth. Diego Roldan rounds out the top five, as if you look just a bit further back, there is a gaggle of race cars. That is for the 8th position. That's 70 cars. So that's the battle for the 8th spot between William Schmidt and Harry Grindell. That is the number 48 of Chris Lilly, listed as the 5. And then the 5 of Owen Shabinsky is in the 11th position. But up at the front, it is still Ashley Kalanick leading the way, as we are now approaching 50 laps to go, as Knutson now starting to put a real good run together to maybe fight for the race lead.
Yeah, honestly, they're just minding their time right now. Still, like you just said, approaching 50 laps to go. Bristol, yes, that'll go by pretty quick, but still a lot of racing here left to go. You don't want to do anything dumb and cost yourself a race, especially when you have a pretty good shot like these 3 drivers right now do for a chance to win a sword and claim another victory on the season. As it looks like caution's back out as well. Now it looks like sound like a big hit for somebody.
Go ahead and try. Oh, I believe we're not going to have it.
One's in the fence in turn 2. Might have one up and over off of 2.
That was the 5 Owen Shabinsky. That is the first car I see. So again, I apologize that we don't have that on the screen.
A couple cars in that accident down the back stretch as well.
As that was a big wreck.
I did have one up and over.
So I'm not sure what happened there, and I apologize for that. But you can see that is the 2 of Shane Sweeney involved as well. So once again, back under the caution flag here now in the late stages of this race, as massive damage to that 5 car. As he parades his way through turn 34. He has actually lost the deck lid and the spoiler.
Yeah, he's lost some valuable body parts there. It might be a while here in the pits trying to get that number 5 throwback patched up and ready to get back out on the racetrack.
I'm going to try and continue to see if I can't improve the stream while we have the time, so bear with me for just one moment.
Might be going green this time, maybe?
Yep. The pace car lights are back off on top of the truck. It is now Ashley Kalanick and Justin Knutson on the front row. As we've seen Kalanick get such good drives off on the restart. Let's see if she can do it again. This time, Justin's going to meet her right up at the door. And Kalanick's probably going to get one of the best restarts that she's had.
Yeah, well, for the moment, she's pulling away off turn 2 on the first lap after the restart. And it's 4 cars under blanket right behind her.
Kendall Carpenter.
Looks like He's the new challenger for the leads. It looks like we got a few new faces compared to what we had at the early stages. It looks like Gibson sideways for the middle of 1 and 2.
He is going to hold on to it, but he's going to fall like a rock. That's going to check up a bunch of drivers on behind, as now Kendall Carpenter knocking on the door of the back bumper of that 22 car. Kendall going to try and drive it off of turn number 2. Nose to tail. Knutson back in 3rd, Oates in 4th, Diego Roldan in the 5th spot as they work their way off of turn number 4, as we are now 50 laps to go here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And now Kendall Carpenter going to try and run it up at the top. Ashley is going to meet him there and hold on to that race lead as she is just parking the bus. It's like we talked about. You don't need to be the fastest driver on the racetrack. You just got to be the one that keeps them out front. And if you can be able to just meet the challengers wherever they are, they're going to have a very hard time trying to pass you.
So far through 102 laps, everybody's had a pretty hard time getting around Ashley because she's putting on a master class of defending, especially when someone's getting right on her and trying to, you know, attack for the top spot.
So Colonics, again, going to start to stretch out that lead just a little bit. They're side by side for the 3rd spot. That is between Knutson and Jonathan Oates, running 3rd and 4th. As they come off of turn number 4.
It looks like Oates keeps getting a little loose coming off corner exit, especially coming off turn 4.
They go down to a complete lap 103. It looks like that middle lane. So the way this seems to go is that middle lane seems to be the preferred lane here on the opening portions of the run. But as the run goes on and these tires start to wear, the name of the game is just get it as low as you can, as fast as you can. So as we continue to...
with Muffet earlier.
Speaking of Braden Movick, there he is working his way back up to the field after his rush in with the wall. There's a ton of cars in front of him as he is stuck all the way back in the 14th position as they look like they're about to go 3 wide. That involves your championship points leader of Joshua Chin, who is trying to work his way around Marcus Malden for 11th, and then up ahead of him is Jack Painter for what would be the 10th position. So as we now approach the last 50 laps of the race, Joshua Chin trying to do the same thing that he did back at Atlanta, which was go from the back of the field all the way up to the front of the field. The only problem is these laps are winding down really fast, and he is quickly starting to run out of time, and he is not able to make the same headway he did back in Atlanta.
Yeah, him and Movick aren't in the best spots right here, but Movick, I mean, Chin's starting to pull away from him a little bit, but Movick is keeping him, you know, within arm's reach with what seems to look like a pretty decently wounded car, especially still be on the lead lap here with 40 to go.
So back up at the front is still Ashley Kolonix holding on to the race lead. It is Kendall Carpenter back in 2nd, with Jessica Knutson in 3rd, under fire for the 3rd position from 4th place, Jonathan Oates. And you can see the ticker, timing and scoring is starting to goof up a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. They're showing a lot of drivers have already finished the race, so we're going to wait to see if it tries to solve itself. But as it stands right now, this is the fight for the 2nd position.
Yeah, it looks like Ashley, she's starting to leg out that lead a bit longer, especially what you want to do coming down here to the wire. She's probably at this point praying that we don't get another caution. But the way she's been on restarts, I honestly don't think it's going to matter if we got one, because she's been pretty dominant on these restarts pulling away.
The gap now half a second back to where it was. So this looks a lot similar to how that first run went for her, where she's just able to really pull away for the opening portions of the run. Through the middle portion of the run is where she really seems to be her best. Is back at the same point of where it was, where it's about half a second. But I'm going to assume as we get later into the run, if we do have that long green flag run like we saw in the opening portion of the race, we're probably going to see Kendall start to dwindle down the lead little by little. But I don't think it's really going to be enough to challenge Kalani's. Kalani's going to have to make a massive mistake in order to allow somebody to have a shot to get around her. Or we see what we usually see here at Bristol, and that's somebody giving the chrome horn to try and move her out of the way.
Well, and another factor, too, because there's still got 33 to go, or 32 when we get back to the line. There's still a lot of time you potentially get lap traffic, and lap traffic always here at Bristol can play a factor.
as we try to look ahead of the field here to see where the lap traffic may be at. As right now, she's pretty clear all around. We're going ahead and go on board with her, see what she can find. You can see that is the 01 of Trey Patton entering turn number 1. So she will have lap traffic to deal with here in a matter of a couple of laps, but it doesn't look like the pack is really anywhere near here at the moment.
Yeah, she probably won't mind that. She's picking them off one by one and not, 3 or 4 at a time. Slow her down. Definitely won't slow you down too much if you're just getting them one at a time, which P2's not going to like to see that, but Ashley up front, she's going to be loving to see that.
You can see there is the lap traffic now as the field catches the back half of the field. That is the 01 of Trey Patton just up ahead. Currently, I'm not sure where he is. It shows him scored in the second position. I'll show you just where I'm looking at right now. Yeah, time and scoring is all wonky right now. I'm not sure exactly what it's doing. ATV will maybe do an update, and for as much work as they say they put in, it doesn't really seem to like to work. Because right now it still shows Mo as the race leader.
Yeah, I don't think the 01's P2 because he's had a pretty rough night, and that car's pretty wounded as he's falling another lap down. Ashley's through, and now putting cars between her and P2.
Now exactly what she needs to do at the moment. The gap still now has stretched over 1 second as we approach 25 laps to go. And I saw this back out of her at Concord when we were running the ARCA OSRL series, one of the first races I broadcasted here. And even in that race, she dominated. It was impossible to really get around her. And she was able to put on one of the best performances I've seen out of her. And that really put her on my radar as drivers to watch out for. She hasn't had the same success here in the OSRL series. She's put down some pretty consistent finishes. She's up there battling for the championship, but not really at the same pace of what we've seen out of the likes of Braden Movick and Joshua Chin. But with nights like tonight, that's going to do her wonders when it comes to trying to battle for the overall championship.
And you never know, it might just be what she needs to turn her season around, because this has been a fairly dominating performance, and not to be commentator's jinx here, but that's the way it's looking. It might be her race to lose at this point as we approach 20 to go.
As they make their way off of turn number 4, the gap now still 1 second. It is Ashley Kolonix in first, Kendall Carpenter back in the second position. Justin Knudsen still an impressive run out of him, holding on to the third spot, with Jonathan Oates right behind him in fourth. And then rounding out the top 5, how about Diego Roldan, who's in a 3-way battle? That is with the 52 car of Nolan Sanford getting around the lapped car of Trey Patton, as they're going to go side by side for the last spot in the top 5 is William Schmidt as well, right behind them to try and maybe take it a top 5. Indeed he is.
Looks like he's coming up too.
He is now up into the 9th position as he has worked his way. Actually, that is Trey Patton now up and back up into the wall. As Josh Chin has made his way around Chris Lilly, that is for the 8th position. So he has now worked his way back up to 8th. Yeah, that car is damaged and wounded. And right now, all he's trying to do is make his way back to the finish line and load this car up, take the points he can, and go home. But Joshua Chin now, as we get into the middle portion of this run, is really starting to put together a strong performance that's going to bounce him back up in the championship, as Braden Movick can't say the same thing as Josh Chin. Big wiggle off turn number 4. But this is going to do wonders for the championship battle, as Braden Movick is still back here fighting with Jack Painter. That is for the 12th spot. He has yet to crack himself into the top 10. So the frustration is going to start to set in here soon for him, as he can now see the points he's losing happen in real time.
Yeah, I believe Movick's in the same position as Patterson is. He's just trying to see lap 150 and get it on the truck and get back home, because that car is hurting, and he's not being able to make up ground like Chin is.
So the gap entering tonight, it was 2 points between Braden Movick and Joshua Chin, and it's going to widen tonight, as with what is now looking like a 14th place finish, it is not going to do her any wonders. As with Joshua Chin now up into the 8th spot, now looking at 7th, that's going to open up the margin for the championship. And when drivers that Braden Movick's having to fight for this championship, drivers like William Schmidt, who is battling for a top 5, that's going to close the gap, because it's only about 32 points between Schmidt and Movick. And with Ashley Klonix putting together the performance that she's had, that's going to put her right back into the narrative of fighting for the overall championship, as she's only 59 points back off the lead. So this is going to put her right up there in the mix.
Yeah, and she's pulling away too, and it looks like if you go back to that battle we saw right before you went to Colonix, Joshua Chen looks like he might actually try to contend for a top 5 right here. So this is going to be a great comeback. Regardless if he gets the top 5 or not, it's going to be a great comeback for Chen.
He is battling with William Schmidt. Nolan Sanford right now, I want to say, is in the 6th spot. Time of scoring is still a bit wonky at the moment, so I can't really trust it all that much. As they make their way through turns 3 and 4. So this is going to be for what would be about 5th or 6th on the running order.
I mean, that's a well of a comeback for Josh. I mean, that's what tonight's fight night is, what win you a championship, because he could have lost a lot more points, and he's made a lot of them back up, and he's running just behind where he was earlier in the front half of the race.
So 10 laps to go. Ashley Klonix is still your race leader here tonight, in what has been one of the strongest performances we've seen in this series so far. As I apologize for that, I'm trying to get timing and scoring to maybe restart itself here.
Yeah, Colonix, it looks like she's even put more of a gap on P2. She is approaching some light traffic here on what's been so far a thoroughly dominating night. As we're, I believe, what, it's 7 to go right here, maybe coming back to 6.
We're going to be at least approaching 5 to go. As you can see, there is the 31 car Mo Perry, who has just had a struggling night tonight, as he's ready for this race to end. There we go. Now we have a working timing and scoring again. We're going to see. So
yeah, what, a 50 lap run here, so pretty good green flag run to end the race.
A very clean and very green night, which is exactly what we wanted to see here tonight. It has been a dominating performance from that 22 car, and it is going to be a much-deserved win for her if she can hold on to it, as she again approaches the back of the pack. That is the 25 of Rex Jenkins, the 18 of Jonathan Shuletsky, and the 33 of Isaac Johnson. So that's going to put up to 14th place a lap down.
On the night we honor Kyle, dare I say this has almost been a Kyle Busch-like performance for Colonix at the point.
This has been, as then we look back, 3 laps to go. Joshua Chin trying to gain a bit more points back. He has fought his way up into the top 5. He's going to drive it down on the bottom and work his way around William Schmidt. They're going to go side by side off the corner exit, and it looks like he might get that 10th spot. Or the 5th spot, yep.
Pretty heavy contact behind them, too.
And as they make their way off of turn number 4, we have started the final lap of the race. Colonix off of turn number 2. We call it the Rowdy 150. This is the track where he dominated most of his career. And tonight, Ashley Klonix puts one rowdy performance together. Checkered flag in the air. And Ashley Klonix wins it here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. And one of the most incredible performances that we're going to see all season long. Kendall Carpenter going to bring it home in the 2nd spot. Justin Knutson rounds out in the 3rd. Looks like actually Jonathan Oates will get 3rd. Knutson in 4th. How about Joshua Chin rounding out the top 5? An incredible performance for him as he bounces back. And for the update on the championship, Braden Movick looks like he will finish in the 13th position. So not the way he wanted this race to end.
Yeah, definitely a heartbreaker there for Movick, but what a job for Josh Chen there, coming back, I believe, what, 18th to P5, and that 60 lap run we had there at the end. That's a well of a drive to finish out that race.
So let's go ahead and take a look at your results tonight. So the winner, it says Braden Movick, is actually Ashley Klonix. Started 2nd, led 149 laps. That is dominating. All but 1 lap. The only other person I want to say has led a lap would have been Joshua Chen at the very start of the race. So it was Ashley Klonix taking the win here tonight. Kendall Carpenter rounds out in 2nd. Jonathan Oates in the 3rd spot. Justin Knutson In the fourth position, Joshua Chin rounds the top 5. William Schmidt in 6th. Harry Grindell 7th. Diego Roldan in the 8th spot. Marcus Smalden in 9th. And Nolan Sanford rounds out your top 10. Back in the 11th position is going to be Stephen Gibson, Levi Wolf, Braden Movick back in 13th. Isaac Johnson all the way down in 16th. And as you look further down, you're going to start to see more and more cars who just didn't have the nights they wanted. Jade Gray in the 19 car calling it early, 131 laps down, as well as Austin J. Rip, who was involved in one of the earlier crashes. And another fitting tribute tonight, as you can see here on your screen, Ashley Kolonix was doing the Alan Kulwicki Polish victory lap. So another fitting tribute here tonight, as we now wait to see some of the drivers hop into the waiting room. Let's go ahead and bring some of them in, as we'll go ahead and drag in your third place finisher, Jonathan Oates.
It was just so much. I mean, I went from
Jonathan, an incredible performance here tonight at Bristol. A third place finish, not the results you wanted, but getting to run up here at the front here at the Rowdy 150, that had to feel really good to have that strong a run for how many green flag laps we saw here tonight.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, I had a really fast car. I drove really well. Probably could have gotten around Ashley on that first run, on that long run we had, because I was really rolling it. Kind of sucks that we didn't get to see that play out, but yeah, no, proud of myself. Good run, and I'll take what I can get.
And just how hard was it to pass her? Because we saw her the moment she took the lead on lap number 2. It seemed like nobody else had any opportunity to go up there and fight with her, because she seemed that no matter where anybody tried to pass her, she had that line covered.
I mean, it wasn't as hard to pass as I think it looked. I think just we were all pretty even on pace. I think that last run was a little tricky, but I don't think I didn't really run my best that last run. I think I could have gotten around Ashley on that first run, and I think that you know, you just needed some time to set it up. You can kind of play around with the lanes on the long run, which was nice, but on a short run, definitely a little bit harder just because of how much momentum the top side had. So pretty challenging, but nothing more than like what you'd expect at a track like this.
And to bring home a third place finish here, and I know it's not the win you would have wanted, but considering everything that's happened within the last week, losing Kyle Busch, they come here at the track where he dominated oh so much throughout his career, in the car that he won the sweep in the second time back in 2017. Can you just talk about a bit about some of the emotions coming back here and getting to have this strong of a run in that kind of a car?
You know, when we found out that when I found out that we had lost Kyle Busch, it was a weird day for me. You know, it's I guess I'm not one to really attach myself to athletes that much, but I grew up watching him. You know, I grew up hating him, and then I grew up liking him, and I don't know. To have him not here anymore, it stings, and it felt weird, and it was just kind of empty for a while. You know, racing NASCAR just isn't really the same without him right now. So I wanted to do my part. I wanted to bring his car out here and give it a good run. You know what? I would have wanted to win for him, but I hope. Well, actually, I don't think he'd be very happy with a third, and that's the kind of spirit I want to have going forward, because I want to win these races. And I think if Kyle showed anything, it's that sometimes you got to be a little bit stubborn. You can't back down. So good run tonight. But I don't think it's what he would have been happy with, and we're going to go out here next couple of weeks. We're going to try and make Kyle Busch proud. But definitely fun to do it in his paint scheme. I love this car. I didn't really like him in 2017 that much, but I always liked this paint scheme. I thought the blue looked really nice. So wanted to bring it out here, maybe run it a couple more times this season, and gave us a good run. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations on a third place finish here tonight, and hopefully we get to see you continue this performance down the road.
Hope so, yeah.
Now we're going to go ahead and bring in our second place finisher, Kendall Carpenter. Kendall, you were the only driver that really had the pace to have a shot at knocking on the door with Ashley Kolonix, and you were right there with her at the throughout most of the restarts in the final half of the race. Just take us through the challenge it was trying to get around the 22 car, and just how challenging was it to manage that while trying to get through this lap traffic here tonight here at Bristol?
Yeah, I didn't really have much for Ashley when she got to the lead. On the one restart, I was like, I was going to try, and I got to her outside, and I don't know if it was the air, it just kind of like pushed me up into the marbles. I didn't. From then on, it was just kind of over. But yeah, it was It was an interesting race. It felt very short. I didn't even realize we were at the end of the wire there until like the white flag. I was like, damn, it's over already? Huh.
I mean, you'd expect was it more of a surprise considering because you expect with these kind of short track races here at OSRL, there isn't really much of a ding on the drivers. It's just when you come to Bristol, you kind of expect those chaotic races that we've seen here in the past. Was it kind of a bit refreshing, but also a bit weird to have these 2 long green flag runs that we saw that really got this race winding down a lot faster than what maybe some would have expected?
Oh, well, I mean, I remember I think it was the last Bristol race we did. It was actually like flag to flag green, if I remember correctly. That was the race that I got damaged or something happened and just I couldn't get my laps back. But yeah, I mean, like, I was very impressed. I'm the one that made the setup. So I was very happy that everybody was able to drive it and drive it efficiently without too many problems and wrecking too much. So I was very happy with the race. Very, very quick, easy Bristol race. You don't really get those too often.
And we come back here to Bristol a week after we lost Kyle Busch. It's a lot of emotions coming back, especially after the off week. Can you kind of touch upon what it was like getting to come back here to a racetrack where a lot of Kyle Busch's best moments were made at this racetrack, and they get to come back here and put together this stronger performance? Had to feel really good, but also really emotional considering everything around it.
Yeah, it's still weird. Talking about Bush in the past, since it just doesn't. It's to me, it still hasn't felt real. I can't say I was like Kyle Busch's #1 fan. I was definitely a hater the vast majority of his career until the very end, and when he got to RSCR and how his career was winding down, I became more of a fan of Kyle Busch, and it's just really sad. It's really sad. It's out to the whole Busch family and what they're dealing with. It's just it's a tragedy, and one that was completely unexpected. So.
And as now we look ahead towards the rest of the season, this is going to set you up nicely in the championship fight, considering the struggles that we've seen out of both Joshua Chen, who was able to rebound to a top 5, especially with Braden Movic. As you look ahead to the rest of the season, what do you need to do in order to put yourself back up there in the fight for the overall title to have a shot at the season championship come season end?
For me, this was just a nice rebound. I have been sucking this season really bad. Early in the season, I've been kind of like on the outskirts of the top 10 and just not really running where I want to. So being able to come in tonight and to run and finish second with no issues or problems was great. In terms of the rest of the season, just continue to put these runs together and try and get a win and I'm capable of doing. But it's just been very difficult this season. I don't know, just having a lull. So I gotta get back in the saddle and get some more consistent top 5s and some wins, and then hopefully we can get to that championship.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on the run-up finish, and hopefully we get to see you put down the performances we've seen out of you in the past and make this championship fight a lot more interesting heading down to the wire.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
And then there was one more driver left, and that is the woman of the night. We called this the Rowdy 150, and that was a Kyle Busch performance unlike any other. Ashley Kolonix, your winner here tonight. Ashley, a lot of emotions heading into this week, considering everything that happened. To come to this racetrack, 149 laps led on the board. That's got to feel really good and help a lot with everything that transpired within the last 7 days.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, a bunch of stuff going on. I mean, not only, in the racing world, but in my own personal life too, that been all over the place. But, through everything that's happened, I think I kind of finally clicked to the idea that I need to just stop thinking about what everyone else is doing and just focus on myself. And turns out it works.
Can you kind of take us into the mindset of what you're able to find out there? Because obviously we knew that the top was going to roll better on the restarts, but it just seemed that you're able to launch a lot better off the corner. We saw Movic have a lot more aggressive corner entries. Joshua Chen have a lot better roll off, but even then they would just get up to you, but you just seemed to find exactly what you needed to park that bus and get him behind them. What was kind of the strategy that you found that really made it hard for these drivers to try and even get a nose under you?
Well, probably the first thing is the way this car drove tonight is kind of the way I like to drive it. I don't like to use a lot of brake. I don't like to jump on the throttle super aggressive. I kind of like to roll into it part way on either side, and it just drove correct. And the big thing tonight was even though you could run the bottom to save tire. If you just pinched somebody low, it was going to be really, really hard to make a pass. And I was lucky enough on the initial start to be on the outside of Chin and be able to take advantage of that.
And as you look ahead to the rest of the season, you're entered this race top 5 in the points. I believe only 53 back from the leaders. A dominating performance tonight and an off night for both Braden Movick and Joshua Chin. Even with a rebound at top 5, that's going to put you squarely in the championship fight. What is now the game plan looking ahead to the rest of the season to try and add your name in there to the championship fight here this year?
Well, ironically, the rest of the season has been a lot of me thinking I should be better and then making some grave errors over and over and over. Adelaide, where I got speeding penalties and I caused a crash and I spun, and oh god, and Homestead, where I was on pole and racing Bubbick, I got a little angry and, you know, was racing with rage the whole end of that race, and I got myself damaged. You know, I just gotta focus on myself. I think if I just focus on myself, I'm probably one of the best people out here. I just gotta make sure that I trust in my ability.
Well, hopefully we get to see you trusting out a bit more, and hopefully we get to see you continue to put these kind of performances down. Congratulations on the win, and good luck throughout the rest of the season.
Thank you, and we're looking forward to Watkins Glen next week. One of my favorite road courses.
All right, and that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from the Rowdy 150. Josh, an incredible performance from Ashley Kalanick's. Closing thoughts as we get ready to close out here tonight's broadcast.
Yeah, if she, as she said in her interview right there, she believes in herself every week. I feel like she might be one to watch out for week in and week out, because that tonight was absolutely a domination from outside the front row and, well, outside of, you know, when she got the lead on turn 1 of lap 2, she never looked back. So I think if she starts believing in herself a little bit more and stays with it, she's going to be one to, I wouldn't want to race her. I'll just put it like that.
And with that, that is going to wrap up tonight's coverage of the Rowdy 150. Again, thank you to anybody watching here tonight who has legged it out through the rest of the stream. I know the quality isn't what we would want it to be. We are still working on that, and hopefully we get better as the season rolls on. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to OSRL for allowing us to come out here and cover this great event.